Okay, I'm going to talk you through an example of phase 2, the war phase. I'm going to show you the amounts of points that each country has. However, you wouldn't know that unless your spy was really, really good, and you kind of figured that out. And you also wouldn't know who were alliances. And so this is just so that you kind of understand how the process is going to work before we actually start doing it. So let's say we roll a dice and country A rolls the lowest number, so they go first. And let's say country A decides they want to attack, and they want to attack country E. Okay? So they attack, and they say that they're going to attack with 2,000 points. So 2,000 points. Okay? 2,000 points are then subtracted from country A, and your strategist commander would want to be writing this down, and you'll kind of see why as we get going. So I'm just going to subtract it right away. So they're left with 1,000 points. If country E, you see here, doesn't even have 2,000 points. So unless they get points from one of the other countries, they're defeated. Let's say country E had an alliance with country A or B. Okay, let's say they had an alliance with country B. And country B says, yes, we'll give you 500 points just so you can survive the 2,000 hit that you got. So what you have to do then is you're going to subtract 500 points from country B, so they're now down to 2,000. Okay, and country E now has enough to attack back. And so their counterattack back is going to be 2,300. Country A now still has 1,000 points, so they can attack back. But remember, some of these countries didn't know that, so they can attack back, adding the additional 1,000 to their 2,000, so they're attacking back with 3,000. We'll see here that country E now needs 700 points to attack back with, and actually then it would be even, so they would need 800 points. So one of two things can happen. Okay, so the first scenario would be that country E can't get its 800 points. And so then what happens is country A gets to keep its 3,000, plus they get the 2,300. So we'll notice they get to keep their 3,000, they get the 2,300 from country E because they defeated country E. And so their new total now is 5,300 points. Okay? And they can use those for attack or defense going on. Now, a couple things to make note of with this scenario is now all countries know the points that country A has if you're taking good notes. And so that's really important because now possibly countries B, C, and D would talk and make an alliance, so that way they would have more points than this. Now, you don't know, though, there's a chance that country A already made an alliance with B, and so, or C, and so they wouldn't be a part of this. And so that's where that gets a little bit tricky, and the negotiation time is really, really important. You should also note that country B doesn't get that 500 back that it gave. Because country E lost, they're out that point. And so making alliances has a benefit if you're the country that's getting attacked. But there's that risk that you might not get that back. I also want to point out that you have to look at the rules with the alliance, and I'll kind of get to that in my next scenario. The second thing that could happen is, let's say country E does get the 800 points. So, oops, let me erase that there. Gets the 800 points, okay? So then they attack back with 3,100. Let's just say they got the 800 points for simplicity's sake from country B. So we would now have to cross off that as well. And so they would be to 1,200. Okay? Let's say country A, just so we can get to an end here, has no alliances, can't raise money at all. They lose. Okay, so they're out. Country E would then get to take their 3,000, plus they would continue to have the 3,100 that they attacked with. So 3,000 plus 3,100. Okay, they would now have a new total of 6,200. However, some of these points are country B, and because they're in an alliance, they have to give those points back to country B. That's part of the alliance piece to it, if they win. So let's say their alliance said that in order, the point return would be, double the amount that they took. So they took, let's see, they took, what was it, 800, and before that was 500. So 800 plus 5, oops, it's a 5. 500, 1,300, okay? And if their alliance said that it's double, they would have to pay back twice this to country B, just because country B helped them out, if that's what their alliance stated. That's why it's really important in the beginning to write out your rules of your alliances. So let's say that it was that rule. Then we'd do times 2, 0, 0, 6, 2. They would pay $2,600 points back to country B. So then country B would take these points and add them to their points up here, and that would become their new total. Now, everyone doesn't have to follow along with what's going on. That's country B's job to add these points back. But it would be in your best interest on your strategy sheet to be recording all of this, so that way you know, okay, country E's there, country B's there, their alliances, they're probably going to support each other. But if it comes down to it, they may break their alliance. And then you want to know which one of the two is a little bit stronger. So I would strongly recommend that when you're choosing your roles, someone that's going to be the commander should have a kind of good idea of the math that takes place within this, so that they can shout out to their leader and diplomat and even their spy a little bit more about what the strategy should be, because they have the numbers to back them up. So to sum it up here, a couple things to make note of. When you attack, you can't win unless you have more points. You deplete the other person's points. So to win, you have more points than one country. If you have an alliance, you must follow the rules of it if you use their points. However, if you attack a country that you were in an alliance with, then that's negating the alliance. Obviously, they're not going to help you out. You're not going to have to pay them back, which that can happen. Sometimes alliances betray each other. However, the written alliances should hold more firm than in the middle of the game if you just say, hey, support me with this one time. So written ones are more serious and should be followed. Until further on in the game when things change and other countries become part of other countries. That's kind of where things will get mixed up and where the alliances may get a little bit tricky.